Walking is free, easy on the joints, and every health expert swears it's the gold standard for staying mobile after 60. But here's what almost no one tells you. Walking alone, the way most people do it, can actually accelerate the very aging process you're trying to prevent. Your muscles shrink, your balance deteriorates, and your metabolic engine slowly shuts down, all while you're clocking thousands of steps thinking you're doing everything right. The truth is hiding in plain sight in orthopedic clinics and longevity labs around the world, and it comes down to 3 minutes that most people over 60 are completely ignoring. Right now, millions of older adults are walking every single day, hitting their 10,000 steps, feeling virtuous, and wondering why their energy keeps dropping, why stairs feel harder, why they're catching themselves on furniture more often. The problem isn't walking itself. The problem is that walking, when it's your only form of movement, trains your body in a very narrow range of motion, recruits the same muscle fibers over and over, and leaves entire systems dormant. Think of it like this. If you only ever typed with 2 fingers, those 2 fingers would get strong, but your hands would eventually lose the ability to play piano, open jars, or catch yourself in a fall. Walking does the same thing to your body. It's rhythmic, predictable, and safe, which is exactly why it can't protect you from the unpredictable demands of real life. Let me tell you what happens inside your body when walking is all you do. Your fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones responsible for explosive power, quick reactions, and balance recovery, start to atrophy because they're never called into action. Your mitochondria, the energy factories in every cell, stop multiplying because walking doesn't create enough metabolic stress to demand more. Your connective tissue, the tendons and ligaments that stabilize your joints, lose elasticity because they're never stretched or loaded in different directions. And your nervous system, the command center that coordinates movement, starts to prune away pathways you're not using, which means your reaction time slows, your coordination fades, and your confidence in your own body shrinks. This isn't speculation. Research from major universities tracking older adults over multiple years has shown that people who rely exclusively on walking for exercise experience measurably faster declines in strength, balance, and functional independence compared to those who add just a few minutes of varied, high-intensity movement to their routine. Now, before I show you the 3-minute protocol that reverses this, let me be clear about something. I'm not telling you to stop walking. Walking is still valuable. It's just incomplete. And the fix is so simple, so fast, and so effective that once you hear it, you'll wonder why no one ever mentioned it before. But here's the thing. The second protocol I'm going to share, the one that takes barely any time at all, is the one that surprised me the most when I dug into the data. And the first one, the 3-minute secret that doctors are now teaching their own patients, is the single most powerful shift you can make to stay young, strong, and independent well into your 80s and beyond. So stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to have a clear, actionable plan that fits into your life without adding hours to your day or requiring a gym membership. Let me start with the core issue. Walking is a low-intensity, steady-state activity. That means your heart rate stays in a comfortable zone, your muscles contract at a predictable rhythm, and your breathing barely changes. For your cardiovascular system, that's fine for maintenance, but it doesn't create adaptation. Your body adapts when it's stressed beyond its current capacity, then given time to recover and rebuild stronger. Walking doesn't provide that stress. It's like trying to build a house by only ever laying bricks at the same slow pace, never lifting anything heavy, never reaching high, never stabilizing a load. Eventually, you'll have a long, narrow wall, but no roof, no foundation deep enough to hold up under pressure. What you need is movement that forces your body to recruit more muscle fibers, spike your heart rate briefly, challenge your balance, and load your bones and connective tissue in multiple directions. And the beauty of this is that it doesn't take long. In fact, the research shows that even 2 to 3 minutes of high-intensity effort, done consistently, can produce more measurable improvement in strength, power, and metabolic health than 30 minutes of moderate walking. That's not an exaggeration. That's what the data shows when you compare interval-based, variable-intensity movement to steady-state walking in adults over 60. So here's the 3-minute protocol that changes everything. After your walk, or even instead of part of your walk if time is tight, you're going to do 3 rounds of the following sequence. Each round takes about 1 minute. You'll do 30 seconds of an effort that spikes your heart rate and recruits your fast-twitch fibers, then 30 seconds of active recovery. The effort phase can be a brisk march in place with high knees, a fast walk up a hill or a single flight of stairs, or even a series of sit-to-stand repetitions from a chair done as quickly as you can with good form. The key is that for those 30 seconds, you're pushing hard enough that you couldn't hold a conversation, your breathing is labored, and your muscles are burning a little. Then you slow down, breathe, recover for 30 seconds, and repeat. 3 rounds, 3 minutes total. Why does this work so powerfully? Because that short burst of intensity sends a signal to your body that it needs to be prepared for demands beyond slow, steady walking. Your muscle fibers get recruited in a different pattern. Your mitochondria multiply to handle the energy demand. Your heart gets stronger because it has to work harder, then recover. Your bones respond to the impact and load by maintaining or even increasing density. And your nervous system sharpens because it has to coordinate faster, more forceful movements. All of that happens in 3 minutes, and the effects compound over weeks and months. Let me give you a real example. Margaret, 72, retired librarian, loved her morning walks around the neighborhood. She'd been doing it for years, always felt good afterward, but started noticing that getting out of a low chair was harder, that she felt unsteady on uneven pavement, and that carrying groceries from the car left her winded. Her daughter suggested she see a physical therapist. The therapist didn't tell her to stop walking. Instead, he added 3 minutes at the end of each walk. Margaret would find a bench, do 10 fast sit-to-stands, rest 30 seconds, repeat twice more. Within 2 weeks, she noticed she could get up from her couch without using her hands. Within a month, stairs didn't leave her breathless. Within 6 weeks, she told her daughter she felt 10 years younger. That's the power of recruiting those dormant muscle fibers and challenging your cardiovascular system just a little beyond comfort. Now, if you're thinking, I can't do high knees or stairs, I have bad knees or my balance isn't great, let me give you alternatives. You can do the effort phase sitting in a chair, doing rapid arm circles or punching movements as fast as you can for 30 seconds. You can hold onto a counter and do fast marching in place without lifting your knees high. You can use a resistance band and do fast pulls or presses. The principle is the same. Short bursts of effort that elevate your heart rate and make your muscles work harder than they do during a walk, followed by recovery. And if you're worried about safety, start with just 1 round, or make the effort phase only 20 seconds. Build up gradually. Your body will adapt faster than you expect. Let me pause here and ask you something. How old are you, and where are you watching this from? Drop your age and location in the comments. I'm curious to know who's hearing this message and where in the world you're tuning in from. Alright, so that's the first protocol, the 3-minute intensity booster that transforms your walking routine from maintenance into adaptation. But there's a second piece to this puzzle, and it's even simpler, though most people ignore it entirely. It has to do with movement variability. Walking happens in one plane of motion. You move forward. Your legs swing front to back. Your arms swing front to back. That's it. But real life, the life that keeps you independent, requires movement in every direction. Reaching up to a high shelf. Bending down to tie a shoe. Twisting to look over your shoulder. Stepping sideways to avoid a puddle. Catching yourself when you trip. None of those movements are trained by walking forward. So here's what you add. Once a day, spend 2 minutes moving in ways you don't normally move. Step sideways for 20 steps in each direction. Walk backward slowly for 30 seconds, holding onto a wall or counter if you need to. Reach your arms overhead and do 10 slow circles in each direction. Twist your torso gently side to side 10 times. Do 5 deep squats, or if full squats aren't possible, do 5 quarter squats or sit back onto a chair and stand up slowly. Get down onto the floor and back up again, using your hands and knees if needed, just to practice the pattern. These movements don't have to be fast or intense. They just have to take your joints and muscles through ranges you're not using when you walk. Why does this matter so much? Because when you stop moving in certain ways, your body assumes you don't need the capacity to move that way anymore, and it lets those movement patterns fade. The neural pathways weaken. The connective tissue stiffens. The muscles that stabilize those movements shrink. And then one day, You need to twist and reach for something, and you pull a muscle, or you step off a curb awkwardly and your ankle gives out, or you lose your balance and can't catch yourself in time. That's not bad luck. That's the predictable result of training your body in only one movement pattern for years. I had a conversation with Robert, 68, former electrician, who told me he walked 5 miles a day and couldn't understand why he threw his back out reaching for a toolbox on a shelf. He thought he was in great shape because he could walk forever without getting tired. But when I asked him when he last twisted his torso or reached overhead, he couldn't remember. His body had become strong and efficient in one narrow pattern, forward walking, and completely unprepared for anything else. We added 2 minutes of multi-directional movement to his routine every morning. Sideways steps, backward walking, overhead reaches, gentle twists. Within 3 weeks, he told me his back felt more stable, his balance was better, and he felt more confident moving around his workshop. He didn't need more time exercising. He just needed more variety in the movement he was already doing. Now let's talk about the third element. And this one is where most people over 60 are unknowingly sabotaging their own strength. It's about muscle protein synthesis, and it has everything to do with when and how you fuel your body around your movement. Your muscles need protein to rebuild and grow, especially after you've challenged them. But after 60, your body becomes less efficient at using protein. You need more of it per meal to trigger the same muscle-building response you got when you were younger. And if you're walking, then coming home and eating a light breakfast with mostly carbs and little protein, you're missing the window when your muscles are primed to rebuild. Here's the protocol. Within 30 to 60 minutes after your walk or your 3-minute intensity session, eat at least 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein. That's roughly 4 eggs, a large scoop of Greek yogurt, a palm-sized piece of chicken or fish, or a protein shake if that's easier. The specific source matters less than the amount and the timing. Your muscles are most receptive to rebuilding in that first hour after effort, and if you don't give them the raw material, they can't adapt. Over time, this leads to sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, which is one of the biggest predictors of frailty, falls, and loss of independence. Research from nutrition and aging labs has consistently shown that older adults who consume adequate protein close to their exercise sessions maintain significantly more muscle mass and strength compared to those who spread their protein out in small amounts throughout the day or who rely on carb-heavy meals. It's not about eating more protein overall, necessarily. It's about concentrating enough of it in the right window to flip the switch on muscle protein synthesis. I worked with Linda, 70, retired teacher, who walked every morning and prided herself on eating healthy. But her healthy breakfast was oatmeal with fruit and a small handful of nuts. Maybe 10 grams of protein total. She couldn't figure out why she was getting weaker, why her clothes fit looser, why she felt more fragile. We didn't change her walking. We didn't add more exercise. We just swapped her breakfast for 3 scrambled eggs with a slice of cheese and kept the fruit on the side. That's it. 30 grams of protein within an hour of her walk. Within a month, she noticed her legs felt stronger on stairs. Within 2 months, her physical therapist measured a measurable increase in her grip strength and leg press capacity. The only variable that changed was protein timing and amount. That's how powerful this lever is. Now, if you're vegetarian or vegan, the same principle applies. You just need to be more intentional. A large serving of tofu, tempeh, lentils, or a plant-based protein shake with 25 to 30 grams per serving will do the job. The key is hitting that threshold in one sitting, not spreading 10 grams here and 10 grams there across the day. Let me give you the big picture now so you can see how all 3 pieces fit together. You walk, which is great for circulation, joint mobility, and mental health. But walking alone doesn't build or maintain the strength, power, and movement variability you need to stay independent and resilient. So you add 3 minutes of intensity at the end of your walk, or even in place of part of it if time is tight, to recruit your fast-twitch fibers and spike your metabolism. You add 2 minutes of multidirectional movement once a day to keep your body capable of handling real-world demands in every plane of motion. And you fuel your muscles with 25 to 30 grams of protein within an hour of your effort to maximize adaptation and prevent sarcopenia. Total additional time investment, about 5 minutes. Total additional complexity, almost none. Total impact on your strength, balance, independence, and quality of life over the next 10, 20, 30 years, enormous. This is the difference between aging as something that happens to you and aging as something you navigate with intention and agency. Walking is not a mistake. Walking is a foundation. But if it's the only thing you're doing, you're leaving the most powerful tools on the table. The tools that keep you strong enough to lift your grandchildren, steady enough to hike uneven trails, confident enough to travel without fear of falling, capable enough to live on your own terms for as long as possible. Here's what I want you to understand. The decline that most people accept as inevitable after 60, the loss of strength, the balance issues, the feeling of fragility, that's not purely a function of age. A significant portion of it is a function of undertraining. You're training your body to walk slowly in one direction, and your body is adapting to that narrow demand. But the good news is that adaptation works in both directions. Train your body with short bursts of intensity, varied movement patterns, and proper fueling, and it will adapt to that too. It will get stronger, faster, more coordinated, more resilient. Not back to where you were at 30, but meaningfully better than where you are now, and far better than where you'll be in 5 years if you change nothing. Let me give you one more example to drive this home. James, 65, retired firefighter, walked every day, ate well, didn't smoke, did everything right by conventional wisdom. But he started feeling old. He couldn't keep up with his grandkids at the park. He felt nervous on ladders. He noticed his posture was slumping. His doctor ran tests, found nothing wrong, told him it was just aging. James wasn't satisfied with that answer. He found a trainer who specialized in older adults, and the trainer introduced him to the exact protocol I just shared with you. 3 minutes of intensity intervals after his walks. 2 minutes of sideways steps, backward walking, overhead reaches, and floor transitions every morning. 30 grams of protein within an hour of exercise. James committed to it for 3 months. At the end of those 3 months, he told his trainer he felt like a different person. He could run with his grandkids. He climbed a ladder to clean his gutters without fear. He stood taller. His energy was back. He said it felt like someone had given him a decade of his life back. That's not hyperbole. That's what happens when you give your body the stimulus it needs to adapt, rather than just maintain. So here's your action plan. Tomorrow morning, or whenever your next walk is scheduled, do this. Walk as you normally would, but when you're near the end, find a spot where you can safely do 3 rounds of 30 seconds effort, 30 seconds rest. High knees, stair climbing, fast sit to stands, whatever feels right for your body and your environment. That's your 3-minute intensity protocol. Later in the day, spend 2 minutes moving in ways you don't normally move. Sideways, backward, overhead reaches, twists, getting down and up from the floor. That's your movement variability protocol. Then, within an hour of your walk, eat a meal or snack with at least 25 grams of protein. That's your fueling protocol. Do that consistently, and in 2 weeks, you'll notice something. In 6 weeks, you'll feel significantly different. In 3 months, people will ask you what you're doing because you'll look and move younger. This isn't about adding hours to your day. It's about adding intention to the time you're already spending. It's about understanding that your body is adaptive, not static, and that the signals you send it every single day determine whether you get stronger or weaker, more capable or more fragile. Walking is a good signal, but intensity, variability, and proper fueling are the signals that unlock your body's potential to stay young, strong, and independent long after most people have resigned themselves to decline. One last thing. If you're thinking, I'm too old for this, or my body can't handle intensity, or I've never been athletic, let me tell you something. The research is unambiguous. Adults in their 70s, 80s, even 90s can and do build muscle, improve power, enhance balance, and regain function when they apply the right stimulus. Your body doesn't know how old you are. It only knows what you're asking it to do. If you ask it to walk slowly in one direction, it will adapt to that. If you ask it to move with intensity, in multiple directions, and you fuel it properly, it will adapt to that too. Age is a factor, but it's not the determining factor. Stimulus is the determining factor. So stop thinking of walking as the finish line. Start thinking of it as the warm-up. The real work, the work that keeps you young, happens in those few minutes of intensity, those 2 minutes of varied movement, and that intentional protein meal afterward. And the best part is, you can start today. No equipment needed. No gym membership. No complicated program. Just a willingness to push yourself a little beyond comfortable for a few minutes, and a commitment to feeding your body what it needs to rebuild. Which one of these 3 protocols will you add to your routine first, and why? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to hear which piece resonates most with you and what your experience is like when you start applying it.